Assalamu alaikum. Let me clear the term hallucinations with illusion and delusion. One of the candidates explained well in the group what is hallucination. Actually, illusion, hallucination, and delusion are the psychotic and neurotic terms. Just suppose if you are in a room and you enter a room and you see a ghost, but when you turn on the light, there is no ghost. So this is hallucination. What does it mean? That hallucination is perception without any external stimulus. But if you enter the room and you see a ghost, but when you turn on the light and you see that your friends looking at you, so this is the not hallucination. This is illusion. Like you know, there's external stimulus, but we perceive that external stimulus into wrongly pattern and wrong pattern or false perception. But if you enter the room and then you see a ghost and then you turn the light on and there is nothing, but still you believe there is a ghost. The firm belief and permanent belief for something and someone, this is delusion. So this is the basic difference. Now, how they are created? There are the many psychotic drugs, antipsychotic drugs, and toxicity of the drugs that can produce all of these phenomena. So let me show the hallucination. Okay, whiteboard. That how they are created. I'm just talk about the hallucination. Okay, let me draw. Fine. So let me draw. Very fine. Just suppose it is brain. Okay, just suppose. I know it is not. And okay. So these are the lobes I have mentioned over there. This is the frontal and the parietal and the temporal and the occipital. And you know there is your eye and the information goes somewhere in the optical region. Now, what does happen? What does it happen that let me show? Okay, let me draw optical region. Just suppose this is the optical lobe. Understand? An optical lobe has three major areas. Just suppose there is, this is the primary area, this is secondary area, and this is the tertiary area. Or you can say this is the visual sensory area, primary visual sensory area, secondary visual sensory area, and the tertiary visual sensory area. Or we can also say this is the 17, this is 18, and this is 19. 18 and 19 are also known as the associated areas. Or somewhere in books, 18 is mentioned as the associative and 19 is mentioned as the motor areas. Now, the major difference between the primary, secondary, and tertiary, whatever the information comes, I am telling the first normal. That information directly comes to the primary area. First, you perceive the information, and that information goes towards the primary area. And then, from the primary area, the information passes towards the secondary area. And the secondary area is you can say the specialized for analyze the patterns, analyze the information, analyze the coming action potential. And after analyzing it, the information passed down to the motor areas, or you can say the 19, or you can say the tertiary area, and that area is responsible to recognize the patterns and recognize the upcoming information. Now, let me give you an example to clarify more in detail. Just suppose the information is comes. Okay, let me write here. These are beautiful. I'm writing over there, and again I will write somewhere. Okay, fine. I write two things. One in this and one is this. First, we talk about this thing. Just suppose these are the this information is goes towards your primary area, and you just recognize that there are some patterns, and you can say that some light is coming, or you can say the flashes, and then information goes to this 18 areas, secondary area, and then you analyze. You analyze that uh, these are some patterns. You can recognize the patterns of the image, but you cannot draw or bring the meaning out of it. You cannot properly understand. You cannot properly recognize that information. So whenever this information pass over this, you will denied to recognize these patterns. You cannot define. Actually, might be possible in some other language it has some proper meaning, but you cannot define it. You can perceive it in sensory area. You can analyze it in the whatever the patterns and whatever the line text over there. But you cannot recognize what are these. But whenever we talk about this, the information goes towards your sensory area. Information then analyze whatever the pattern, the light and the color, intensity, and whatever the thing, and then properly recognize what are these words, or what is the image, if this is the image over there. Like if suppose if there is something like this, and if there is something like beautiful girl standing over there, so this is up to now the secondary area, but wherever you can recognize this as a standing beautiful girl, so you can say you can perceive over there. This is normal. This is the normal vision pattern. But now there are some problems in toxicity of the drugs or any other drugs that can stimulate, overstimulate this area, can overstimulate this area, can overstimulate this area, or can overstimulate this. So if this area is stimulated, so you can see the flashes of the light. You might be see I have seen the flash of light, but there is nothing, no light. And when this area is overstimulated, you may see, or you may tell other that I have seen some pattern, blue, white, and whatever. And if you have very profound and very, you can see the clear-cut hallucinations about the things, like you have seen elephant running in your room, even there's no elephant. So you can say the drugs or any other chemicals have overstimulated this area, not the primary, not the secondary. So this is the hallucinations comes. So when we know about all these patterns and all these areas, so we can design the drugs in that man in such a manner that we can overcome these situations. Hallucinations is many types. Hallucinations can be the more generally as the one of the candidate 12, that auditory and visual hallucination. Actually, okay, when the drugs is act over there, let me drugs like act over there, it means there's the visual, you can say the hallucinations. But there is a something called temporal lobe present over there. Temporal lobe is the part of the limbic system. You must be knowing. So I'm just telling a little about the temporal lobe here. This is important. Temporal lobe has two main laterally side temporal lobe. Like laterally side is responsible for the auditory. So whenever now again auditory lobes also auditory has also the three areas like the primary, secondary, and tertiary. So whenever the primary area is stimulated, it means there is some voice you have seen. But then when the information is going towards the secondary area, and then you analyze the patterns, might be possible Bella Chow, Bella Chow. If I'm saying the Bella Chow and Bella Chow, you might be hearing the Bella Chow, Bella Chow. But whenever the information is going towards the tertiary area, you cannot draw any meaning out of it. You don't know the meaning. But whenever I talk something that you can recognize, it means your tertiary area is working, and that is the example of this lecture. You can truly understand this language as well. So this is the auditory. But whenever the any of the part of the auditory area is stimulated, overstimulated, you might be possible you may hear some voices, not clear voices, but you may hear some patterns, and might be possible you hear some exact voices in your own language that might be possible that is not present over there. Like someone has told you, come on, whatever by your name, and after that there is no why. This is hallucination. But when you firm believes and that someone is calling me and you will go, this is delusion. Now this is the temporal lateral side. The medial side of the temporal lobe is very special for the especially is responsible for the olfaction. This is general, everyone knows, but the good students or the good doctors know that temporal lobe, the medial temporal lobe is also responsible to differentiate the you can say the imagination and the reality. Whatever. Okay, one more thing, you must be clear with hallucination and fantasy. Whenever you talk about the fantasy, it is the known state. I am, I imagine the things, or I know this is the fantasy. But in hallucination, this is known. I like fantasy, you can say that it is the voluntarily, and hallucination is not voluntarily. Another case, temporal lobe is also control, also differentiate between the reality and unreality. Like reality mean I'm teaching the class and the students is sitting in front of me, and I think that these students are made up of cotton. So this is unreality. So temporal lobe is also differentiate between the reality and unreality and reality and imagination. One more important function of the temporal lobe, because it is a part of the limbic system, and limbic system is mostly responsible for our behaviors. So temporal lobe is very responsible for the behavioral patterns also. And among the behaviors, this is responsible for the aggression and sexual behaviors as well. So if there is a tumors or any temporal epilepsy is over there, so it might be possible these problems can arise. So this is, and you know, this is the schizophrenia, whatever the pronunciation, it might be possible. This is a psychotic. So psychosis simply, we can define psychosis in a very technical terms, but in a very simple state, psychosis simply is a loss of contact with reality. So as the hallucination, you can see the also the psychosis. So if you know that this is psychosis, you can treat it with the antipsychotic drugs. And when you know the psychosis, psychopharmacology, you can treat well, even design the drugs well, if you know the areas of the pain and the chapters and so on and so on. Thank you.